I made those beats with your mom. Hey, welcome back to our stupid reactions. I'm Corbin.
I'm Rick.
Also
Instagram,
Twitter.
It's so juicy.
comment.
Also on personal YouTube channels.
What happened?
Your head's cut off.
What? What happened to my head?
You were like, huh?
What's it like to have breasts?
Squishy.
You think? I think it depends on the size of the breast. I do know big breasts can cause real serious back pain.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, don't you ever wonder what that's like to feel what it's like to be the opposite sex? And what that feels like?
Anyways, enough of your fantasies, Rick. Today we're watching, this is making of the sets of Bombay Velvet, Anurag Kashyap.
Oh, cool.
I'm told this doesn't give anything away about the film. This is just, obviously we know about this film, Anurag's film, and it's big, elaborate. It was
Yeah,
like
well, we've seen the one jazz number from it, and it looks like it's amazing.
And so this is apparently a little video about the making of the sets
Cool.
of that. And I'm assuming it's a
Do we
good
know?
making of?
Hey, I'm hoping it's a good making of, and not just like we're gonna get images with music and no one's gonna talk.
It was recommended to me, so I think these people should know. It's not the Stupid Family, but let's just get into this. This is one that I'm super interested in.
We have been in for a long time.
Because I know it's divisive, this film, in terms of like what people thought about it.
Right.
But I don't know if it was like warranted.
Right.
Or if like people
Just
like
'cause it was different.
Just because it was different, people didn't like. Maybe they don't like jazz. I don't know how big jazz is in India, which is why another interesting choice for Anurag.
Agreed.
I don't know who can like jazz. I love jazz.
I love jazz.
Jazz is so
It's an
great.
amazing form of music.
But let's just get into this.
This film always was that we were getting it for a long time was it's a story of a city. When you make a film like that, then you have to create a city without it.
Miniatures.
I love. They're so cool.
आपके हिसाब से पॉपुलर रोड का फ्रेंड कैसा दिखता है? Every time the question came up of where do we shoot this, let's just make the whole film on a set. I'm saying suppose ये wall इधर है ना, balcony ये balcony यहाँ से यहाँ.
People who build sets are some of the most talented people.
We could actually want to build this huge massive set. We couldn't find any place in India that let us build a set and the streets and everything, all these set stuff outside of it.
These traveled to visit everywhere actually came across this whole Sri Lankan thing and he said, let's go visit Sri Lanka. I said, what will happen in Sri
I don't
Lanka?
know why the audio is.
They want to develop some culture there. They have this land where they want to build a studio.
So they found land in Sri Lanka.
This is the painstaking work that goes into it before you ever shoot.
We had done an extensive search in Sri Lanka, but nobody was considering it seriously. The production, the location, the team suggested that why don't we also explore Sri Lanka based on the pictures that came to us.
Is that where they built it?
I hope he held property as his own to use as a backlot.
The
Basically.
land that was to be built into studio, we actually, with the government of Sri Lanka, built it from the scratch.
I love this video already so much.
They built like a life-size set.
They built an entire backlot basically.
That's great.
a local art director from Colombo who kind of we work with.
It has to be on zero level. So we'll start doing the marking and we'll start putting up building, and wherever they need more land level, they'll do it.
And with his expertise and Sonal Sawant, who's I think one of the finest production designer. She's meticulous to the point and detailed to the point of, I don't know, perfection to the point of fault.
Try and execute the whole film in Sri Lanka was a task by itself, because we were working with a really efficient and a hard-working crew, but just the work pattern is completely different. We didn't speak the language, they didn't speak English either.
How's the work going here? How is the work going on here?
This is great.
The kind of experience and the support that I had from my own crew, as well as the Sri Lankan crew, as well as a production team, was quite special.
The stage of how flat land, how we had to accept the land, cover kind of a stream, like extend the area. We're not about 8 or 9 months.
Every time we used to close to finish, we thought that we are almost there and we were not there yet. 2 days later, we go back to square one. So it was a consistent exercise that used to go on. If something came right, there were 2 things that went wrong. So yeah, the club was something else. It took something else out of us by the end of it, because we tried, we kept on at it like madly. Yeah.
They built the entire thing. You know how expensive that is?
The first time I went on set in Sri Lanka, I was just like shocked, because it was like being in Universal Studios or something, you know. It's like I've never worked with such a high like scale, like the way this film is. It's just like spread out completely. And then the main like Bombay Velvet Club, it's majestic.
The scale of Bombay Velvet is the believability of Bombay in 1960s, 1950s. And I think if we are able to achieve that, then we have really achieved the scale of the film.
Set was like a full new city. You know, It was just amazing.
It's old school.
It's not just that scale is humongous, it's all just so well done. If you look at the aerial shots of the set, it's spectacular. It's
It's
unbelievable.
a full backlot.
That's awesome. You don't see that anymore. Like outside of it, unless you already have a
Already
backlot.
existing backlots, right?
It's such an old school technique.
Now that was a making of.
Yeah,
That was a good video.
that was a good video. That's such an old school technique, because obviously it used to happen a lot where people would go somewhere and build a backlot, like a little strip
Sure.
town,
Yep.
and then kind of leave it almost as like a tourist attraction. It happened quite a bit, but obviously it's so expensive, which is one of my theories now. Is the reason a lot of people think it was a flop because it didn't make its money back,
Right.
which is not.
That's not
That doesn't mean the film is not good.
correct. There's just because they invested a lot of money and it didn't make the same box office doesn't mean the film itself isn't any good. Like one of the biggest box office flops of all time is Ishtar. Have you ever seen Ishtar? Mm-hmm. It's actually a fun movie to watch.
What is it?
It's Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman, and it was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, and it flopped hard. But it's actually an enjoyable movie to watch.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually not a bad film.
So I'm wondering if that's this film.
Yeah.
I once again, I don't know, obviously, because I don't know because obviously I haven't seen the film. But that's one of my, because we've heard that quite a few times. Like a film didn't make a ton of money or didn't make it, enough money, and so
Right.
people consider it a flop.
Right.
Even though what the film makes has no bearing on if I like a film or not.
Right, exactly.
Like,
No.
And I know that's how a lot of minds in India do work.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
And I can't imagine this is very common because I can tell you here, if you see like there's really great behind the scenes footage of the film Open Range by Kevin Costner, and they built in Canada a small western town. And that's pretty common because for the majority of those towns, you can do facades and then you do some interiors. And it was one street, right? There's a lot of places around here. Right. There's some in Santa Clarita, in Newhall. I've been to some recently.
One about 15 minutes away. That's where Westworld was filmed.
And that's for a series.
Yeah.
You invest in that because you know this is going to be a facility we're going to use for the next several years. To build a literal backlot for one film is now. I hope that was an investment, and he's like, okay, he could tell his investors and producers, here's what we're using for this, and then we're going to just shred it all, and we have this backlot that we can use. I don't know, but that is one gutsy thing. And I'm thinking, if I'm Anurag Kashyap, I'm thinking to myself, I'm doing an experimental film with jazz music, 10 months to create my sets in another country. That's gutsy, man.
It sounds like Anurag.
It sounds like Anurag. That takes some guts to gamble with a film. You've got to believe in your project to do that.
Let me know about this film. Is it as bad as people say? Or is it actually just because it didn't make its money back and people like that? I feel like that's a reason a lot of Indians don't go, because it didn't make enough money. Like, why? Once again, as we've said many times, why would I care? I don't, unless it's like an art house film, we don't care what it makes.
No, we only care, we've said this before, we only care what a movie makes if we think the movie's wonderful and more people should go to it, because the more money it makes, they'll make more like it.
And if we see it and we think it's shit, we'll say that.
Yeah.
It could very well be a bad film.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let us know what you think about this one, which will be the next Anurag Kashyap film we watch down below.
Look,